They warned me not to take her. The caseworker looked at me with tired eyes and said, "She's difficult. Most families give her back." Then she slid a thin folder across the table. On the front, someone had written one word in red ink, broken. I remember staring at that word and feeling something twist inside my chest. Because when I finally met her, small, silent, sitting in the corner of the room, she didn't look broken. She looked terrified. And that's when I knew this story wasn't about adoption. It was about survival. She never spoke. Not once. Her name was Lily. She was 8 years old. The first day she came home with me, she didn't cry. She didn't smile. She didn't ask for anything. She just followed rules like a soldier. Shoes lined perfectly by the door. Plate cleaned down to the last crumb. Lights off exactly at bedtime. And not a single word. At night, I'd hear her footsteps pacing the hallway. Sometimes she slept on the floor because beds made her nervous. If I raised my voice, even by accident, she flinched like she expected to be hit. That wasn't shyness. That was fear, trained into her over time. Everyone told me she was the problem. School called constantly. She doesn't participate. She doesn't trust adults. She refuses to speak in class. Therapists used words like attachment disorder and emotional shutdown. Other foster parents whispered things like, "Some kids are damaged beyond repair." But every night, I sat outside Lily's door and talked softly, even though she never replied. I told her about my day, about the weather, about nothing, because I needed her to know someone would stay even if she never spoke back. The drawing, that changed everything. 3 months in, I found a crumpled piece of paper hidden under Lily's mattress. It was a drawing, a small stick-figure girl standing in a dark room, and behind her, a much larger figure with no face. But what stopped my heart was the detail. The girl had tally marks on her arms, not scratches, counted marks. I took the drawing to her therapist. The therapist went quiet. Then she said, "This isn't imagination. This is a memory." That's when the sealed records were reopened, and the truth came out. She wasn't broken. She was silenced. Lily's previous foster placement had been quietly closed, not investigated. The man in that house had a clean record. Too clean. Because complaints were dismissed. Teachers were ignored. Case notes were edited. And Lily? She learned that speaking only made things worse. Her silence wasn't a weakness. It was armor. The moment I realized that, everything changed. I looked at her and said, for the first time, "You don't have to talk, but I will always listen." The system finally listened. I refused to stay quiet. I demanded reviews, filed reports, pushed for accountability. This time, there was evidence. The drawing. Medical inconsistencies, behavioral patterns. An investigation reopened. The foster parent was arrested. Charges were filed. Licenses were revoked. And Lily? She didn't say a word through it all. Until one evening, while I was washing dishes, I heard a small voice behind me whisper, "Can I stay?" I turned around, frozen. And I said, "Forever." She spoke when she felt safe. Lily didn't suddenly become talkative. Healing doesn't work like that. But she started humming, then whispering, then laughing. Quietly, like she was afraid of being heard. She learned that doors wouldn't slam. Those mistakes didn't come with punishment. That love wasn't conditional. The word broken was never used in this house again, because she never was. Silence is not absence, it's survival. Some children don't scream, they disappear. And when the world calls them difficult, it's usually because no one ever bothered to ask, why? Lily didn't need fixing. She needed safety. And sometimes, the bravest thing a child can do is survive long enough to be heard.